Today I'm back at it again with another hairstyles tutorial, which is actually a follow-up or a second part, if you will, of my last hairstyles tutorial, which by the way you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. So yeah, let's practice on drawing some more hairstyles today. And by the way, if you want to sketch along with me, there's actually a link in the description box where you can download the sort of template that I made for today's video and you can just practice along with me. I hope that helps. So we're starting off with a shorter hairstyle, a pixie cut. This one in fact is pretty simple to draw. So first I'm sketching out the general outline and the shape of the hairstyle. While drawing short hair, it's pretty important to make them sort of voluminous and a little bit messy at the same time, just so they look natural. Unless you want to go for a sleek type of pixie cut, but that's a different kind of story then. Anyway, next thing I'm doing is I'm loosely sketching particular strands of hair. I want to create an impression of a couple of layers of the hair, so each layer is put in a sort of different direction, which once more will give an impression of volume. And that's exactly what we want in this hairstyle. Since we're working with short hair, it's pretty important to sketch out each strand of the hair quite precisely and in desired direction. So once I'm happy with my sketch, I'm applying the base layer of color, and in this case I'm going for a blonde shade. I'm coloring in the whole hairstyle, keeping in mind the directions of each hair section. After my base color is here, I'm gonna add more details with colored pencils. I'm gonna be working with 3 different shades of colored pencils. The first one is gonna be pretty much the same color as the marker base we just applied. Next one is gonna be just slightly bit darker than the base color. And the third one is gonna be the darkest one of them. And with those pencils, I'm just gonna try to create an illusion of different layers of hair, particular strands of the hair just, you know, loosely lying around on the whole hairstyle. My ultimate goal is to make this hairstyle look voluminous and 3D. So I'm just adding more layers on top of each other, shading everything a little bit, then blending it all out with the base color again. And yeah, this is how we're pretty much finished with the first pixie cut. Next off, we're gonna draw medium length hair with the top of the hairstyle being quite sleek and with the ends being a bit bouncy and kind of curled up. Here I'm starting off with the middle parting and I'm marking the shape of the hairstyle. Here we're gonna be drawing those 2 big sections of hair, so this hairstyle is also pretty easy in fact. However, when it comes to such hairstyles, it's pretty crucial that you don't make just those 2 sections of the hair and call it a day. We still want to make the hair look natural and lifelike, so we need to add some spice to that, let's say. And you know, we want to add a little bit of those loose hair, just, you know, flying around, maybe some extra baby hair. Just adding those extra elements will really take this hairstyle onto the next level, since there's nothing really that spectacular happening. So yeah, that's my advice when it comes to that. So the sketching part was pretty quick and easy, so now I'm moving on to the coloring, and I'm gonna fill in the whole area with dark gray marker. Once this is done, I'm gonna use black colored pencil to add the texture to the whole hairstyle and you know, add those little elements that I was just mentioning. When it comes to adding colored pencils on top of your marker, you really want to follow the shape of the hairstyle while coloring it in. You really don't want to just go up and down with your pencil, or in the worst case scenario, you don't want to just color it in different directions. It's really not the effect that we're going for. You really want to follow the natural shape of the hairstyle you're drawing. You just want to focus on those long movements of your hand that will give an impression of actual hair strands. Then I'm just finishing off the whole hairstyle with a bit of highlighting with light gray pencil. I prefer to use light gray pencils instead of white ones because I feel like it gives you a more of a natural effect when it comes to adding highlights on top of black base, because white pencil can sometimes give you this very artificial effect, and I'm not sure if this is the look I'm going for, but if this is something that you're into, then of course use white pencil and that's gonna also look good. And yeah, in this manner, we're pretty much done with the second hairstyle. Next off, moving on to something a little bit more funky, since we're gonna be drawing a half updo with a bun on top and the other half of the hair down, and also with a fringe. And yeah, that was a mouthful, but I hope you guys gonna understand what I'm saying just by looking at what I'm gonna be drawing now. Here, as usual, I'm starting off with the shape of the hairstyle. I'm very loose and gentle with my sketching. I'm trying to give my hairstyle the natural feel, therefore my lines are quite flowy and delicate as opposed to harsh, straight lines. We really don't want that at this point. For the fringe, I also want to keep it quite sparse and light, so we give the whole hairstyle a more natural feel. Once the sketch is done, I'm adding a bit of fine liner on top of it, just so when I erase the sketch, there's still gonna be some guidelines visible for me for the coloring part. And I'm going to color in this hairstyle with a pretty natural brown color. And while coloring, I'm always following the sort of bend and curve of the hair. I'm not just coloring in straight up and down like I was mentioning before, I'm trying to be more flexible and flowy with my lines. And honestly, you guys, that's a game changer. The way you apply your marker color is really gonna affect your coloring later on if you decide to add some color pencils on top of it. It's either gonna make it more difficult if you decide to color in your piece in multiple different directions, or it's gonna make it way easier for you if you decide to follow the lines and kind of the natural shapes that you drew, and then the color pencils part, it's gonna be way more enjoyable and quicker for you. So pay attention to that, and I think you're gonna get some really good results. Anyway, I'm coloring in this whole hairstyle with the same marker, and I'm adding an extra layer of just the same color in the most shaded areas, and I'm obviously gonna finish off the whole coloring process with some color pencils. So with the color pencils, I'm basically adding more of those loose strands of the hair flowing around, and I'm just trying to mimic the impression of volume all over the hairstyle. I'm also darkening the roots a little bit just to achieve that 3D effect. At the very end of the coloring process, you can also add some highlights with a light peach pencil. And once more, I think that such color works just a little bit better than straight off white pencil. Especially for brown hair, I just think that it looks natural and slightly better. And yeah, now we're pretty much done with the third hairstyle. Now we're gonna move on to something that is slightly more complicated, meaning the natural Afro textured hair. I find that such hairstyles actually take more time to perfect them, and you would probably need to find a good method for you to draw them, something that works just for you, because speaking from my experience, I think that it's pretty easy to make such hairstyle look flat and just lose out on the texture. So yeah, please keep that in mind. So here I'm not doing much of sketching, in fact, I'm just loosely indicating the general shape of the hair, and right after that I'm going straight in with marker. And at this point with my coloring, I'm trying to mimic the natural curl and texture all over the hairstyle. I'm also not filling in the whole area that I sketched out because I prefer to draw the ends of the hair with color pencils just to achieve a more natural look. Once this is done, I'm taking a slightly darker shade of marker and I'm shading in the areas around the parameters of her face and some sections on top of the hairstyle. Then it's time for color pencils. I'm taking a dark brown color and I'm going to sketch out the curls pretty much all over the hairstyle. And here the important thing is that you don't want to draw those loose curls. You really want to draw the curls quite tight and make them look more bouncy and natural. This definitely takes some time to practice and perfect it, so please don't get discouraged at first. And well, I'm basically repeating this step all over quite irregularly until I'm happy with how the hairstyle looks. You can obviously alternate between darker and lighter pencil just to create more depth in the hairstyle. And yeah, this is what the finished Afro hairstyle looks like. Next up, we're gonna draw longer wavy hair with side parting. These are gonna be those big and bouncy waves. First, as usual, I'm sketching out the general shape of the hairstyle. I want the waves to be quite regular in fact, but I really don't want them to be symmetrical on each side. So I'm throwing in a couple of differences here and there just to once more make it all look natural. Then I'm outlining everything with just a little bit of my black fine liner. At this point you can obviously outline your hairstyle a little bit more and take more time to actually perfect your outline, but I'm just a person that likes to do it the last, or lately I've been skipping adding a lot of outline to my drawings, so yeah, you can pretty much alternate between anything that works for you. I'm just saying that this is probably the point that you should be working on your outline. Anyway, for this hair color I thought of turquoise, which unfortunately shows up like a regular blue on the camera, so you guys need to believe my word on that. I'm coloring in the whole hairstyle again, following the shape of the waves. I'm adding an extra layer of the same color in the places where the waves sort of bend and will naturally create shadows. Once we're done with this sort of base coloring, I'm gonna go in with turquoise colored pencil. Here I'm gonna be using two shades, one that is similar to my base color and then the second one that is slightly darker. With the darker pencil, I'm enhancing the shaded areas that I colored in with the marker. I'm already trying to mimic the hair texture with the way I add the pencil layers. I'm trying to flick my pencil upwards by the end of my coloring, so each kind of strand of the hair that I'm marking on my sketch is like feathered out at the ends, if that makes sense. I feel like even though it might sound a little bit difficult, I feel like this sort of coloring method comes pretty naturally, so I really hope that you guys won't have problems with that. And once I added this darker pencil onto my drawing, I'm blending everything together with the lighter pencil, so the pencil that is pretty much the same color as the base color of the hairstyle. And then I'm repeating all those steps on the other side. In between those big waves that we're drawing, you can also add those particular strands of hair to give this hairstyle a little bit more of natural feel. At the very end of the coloring process, I'm adding some highlights, and this time I'm actually gonna use a white pencil because I feel like with those bright colors and with those more unusual ones, let's say, white pencil always works better and it's just more bright and vivid. And as last but definitely not least hairstyle, we're gonna be drawing sleek straight hair with side parting. This is probably going to be one of the easiest hairstyles to draw, but it's definitely super cute and I honestly love drawing it. So first off, sketching. I'm being quite loose with my lines as always, and even though it's a sleek hairstyle, I'm adding some volume to the top of the hairstyle just so it looks better and more natural. We always want to have some extra volume. Then I'm quickly moving into the fine liner. I'm adding a couple of lines here and there just to have a base for the coloring. As far as the coloring goes, this hairstyle I'm gonna color in with a pretty lilac shade. Today we already drew pretty many natural colored hair, so I feel like this lilac hair is gonna be a proper choice for the last hairstyle of the day. So I'm basically coloring in the whole hairstyle with the same color, with this pretty lilac shade, and then to switch it up a little bit, I'm gonna color in her roots with this sort of darker grayish color, just to, have something extra in this hairstyle. And for the marker base, that would be pretty much in, but obviously I'm gonna use some colored pencils to add some texture to the hairstyle and to basically finish it off. And here in fact I'm gonna be using only one colored pencil that is just slightly bit darker than the lilac shade of the marker that I used, and I'm basically gonna follow in the shape of the hairstyle. I'm gonna try to still keep it all quite sleek and straight obviously. So yeah, it's honestly pretty easy, it's just straight hair, so there's really nothing that complicated. You just want to keep the whole hairstyle pretty natural, you want to add those loose hair strands here and there, and yeah, this is pretty much it. And that will be pretty much all for my today's hairstyles tutorial. Like always, I really hope that it was helpful for you guys and that you got to learn some new tips and tricks that will help you out in improving your own drawings. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed my today's video and if you want more tutorials from me in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all and I can't wait to see you in my next videos. Take care, bye!
I'm just going with the gut, never had a doubt, felt like this is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now.